Hey everyone, I just wanted to stop by real quick before this podcast starts and say you should like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget to follow me on all my social medias at John D. Klauser. It's literally the same name as the name that you subscribe to on this YouTube channel. So enjoy this clip, and I'll see you guys on the other side. Yeah. That every take except one has been pretty good.
Welcome to the John Show with your host, John Doogie Klauser.
All right. What is going on, everyone? We are here on a new episode of the Juan Solo Show with your host, me, John, John D. Klauser. Yeah, what's up? How are you guys? We're episode 95. We're already stumbling out right out of the gate. What's up? How are you? Good? Doing good? Swell? Staying alive? Washing your hands? Eating healthy food? Taking your vitamins? Hopefully you're eating a whole egg. Don't understand people who I like to eat 19 whites and only 2 of the whole. It's like, I just eat a whole fucking egg, dude. Just eat 6 eggs, call it a day. And how about this? Drink a little bit more water, and then just don't eat anymore. Just don't eat some bullshit later in the day, and it all evens out. And you don't have to eat 29 fucking whites and 2 whole eggs, because it makes no fucking sense. You know that. I know that. Why are you doing it? Just stop doing it. And I promise you, just eat 6 eggs, you'll be good. 6 eggs, some toast. Just eat the same thing every day. And people are always like, I don't like eating the same thing every day. You know what tastes better than anything? Having a fucking 6-pack and being almost fucking 33. That's what tastes good. Not having a fucking dad bod. That's what tastes good. I don't give a flying fuck. People are like, John, how can you only eat rice and ground beef every day? You know what? It's pretty fucking easy when you look pretty fucking good. When you have a nice physique, it helps. You're like, oh, so if I just keep doing what I'm doing, that's what got me the physique. So why don't I just do that? I don't get people like, oh, I'm gonna go on a cleanse. I'm gonna only eat salmon on Sundays. And the rest of the week, you only drink water and a lemon. It's like, dude, how in the fuck does that sound like that's something you should be doing? What makes you think that's a good idea? It's an awful idea. Just eat less bullshit. Eat a salad every day. Drink some water. Lotion on your face. Moisturize. For the love of fucking God, men, we don't have to do much. All we have to do is literally do 2 squirts of lotion. Put it in our hands. Moisturize. Cream, facial moisturizer, put on your face, and you're done. DONE. Just like the fucking guy told me when I got my fucking carburetor stolen off my car. Carburetor? Catalytic converter? You know what the fuck I meant. That's it. All you have to do is that. Women have to wash their face, go up, flip upside down, bleed from their vagina. They have to do all this stuff to look good, to make their skin look soft. We have to do literally 2 squirts, done, over with, and we just jerk off, and that's it, and we're good, and we're happy. We have it way easier, guys. Way easier. So, wash your fucking hands. Who in the fuck still goes through this life without washing their hands now with this damn every other week it's a new fucking thing. It's like, oh, we got this, this strand. This one's like, well, what it's going to do is it's really contagious, but it's not as strong. It's like, what the hell's going on? How is it strong but weak at the same fucking time? Who fucking knows? Who knows? Do you know? I don't know. I'm not a scientist. I don't know. I don't do any of this stuff. But one thing I was thinking about right before this podcast starts, do you guys ever have just some of the weird? I have some of the weirdest thoughts throughout the day. Today, I thought about this girl. I won't say her first name. I think it was Emily or Emily. I think it was Emily. I think that's what her name was. But anyway, her dad was a doctor. Ended up like invented like this brand new X-ray machine that I think that everyone uses. I don't know how I ended up dating this girl. I've dated a lot of women out of my league. I think it was just I think it's just the fact that it's like sheer pure boredom. They're like, this guy's a fucking moron. Like, let's just talk to him for a while. He'll be fun. And then like I end up doing something stupid or I say something dumb, and you're just like, all right, okay, I see why you're just kind of dumb. You're kind of silly. Let's put you back away. Let's go. Run away now. And I'm like a bunny. I just like bounce around. I just leave. It's just this is my life. That's just how it is now. That's just not it is now. This is how it always been. I understand my place. That's the thing. That's the key thing I think people should understand. Is like you should understand your place in the pecking order of things. And people always like, you should think like that. You should have more self. No, I have plenty of self-esteem. That's not the thing. I'm realistic. I'm incredibly realistic. I'm understandable, but when I do, because it's much easier for a guy to date way, way out of his league versus like, it's weird. I don't know what the thing is like. I guess it has to do with the fact that like men have to pay for dates and dinners like that, and then for men it's like it's a lot easier to date outside. So it's outside of the league. Like, well, like there's like two ways you do it. You either have like charisma and you have a good sense of humor, or you either like you can do like the PDE, like you can have like the steroid method, and that is just basically just have a lot of money, and then that's it. And then you can date outside your thing. How in the fuck did we get on this conversation? Anyway, so I was dating this girl, and I was just thinking, like, I remember I was thinking, so there's two things I was thinking. I have two big memories with her. I can't believe I'm going to talk. Fuck it. Why did I not talk about this? This is somewhat interesting. So I kissed her behind the school that I was going to at the time. So the school I was going to, I didn't play for their school. I didn't play for the school I went to in middle school. I played for this competitive football team. I did it because I thought it would just help me be better at football. I lettered as a freshman, and that's a pretty big accomplishment. So I mean, I think that's a pretty big accomplishment at any high school. Like, oh, you lettered as a freshman in varsity football? Like, yeah, it's like, it is what it is. Granted, it was special teams, and that's usually how it works, how it ends up happening. I was the backup running back on varsity, and then I end up, some guy fucked up on the, was it extra point team, and so I ended up taking his spot, and then that was it, and that's pretty much how it worked. And I basically led her that way, and then we went really far into the playoffs, and so that helped as well. But our team always scored all the time, so it was always on the field. And so I remember I kept track of all my letter, like every quarter, because you had to, I believe, play 8 quarters to letter, or 7 quarters or something like that. And so I had like 10 quarters, 10 or 11 quarters, and that's how I ended up like lettering. But it is what it is. And then I played later because I was the backup. When we like the score was run up, then they put me in to run the ball. Pretty much. And that's how I hurt my knee the first time. Tore my meniscus. It was fun. Very fun. Scored a touchdown. And then my knee started like burning later on that night. And I'm like, what the fuck? And I looked down at my knee and it was all swollen. I'm like, fuck. And I'm like, well, this ain't good. Missed 2 weeks. And then we ended up winning state that year in football. Hang loose. Got a state ring. Got this fat ring that I don't ever wear for anything. It sits in my editing like station, and it just hangs out. It's kind of like the little creme of the creme, because I have like a little area back over here that's a collection of shit, and then I have another one over by my editing desk. And I have this Mac desktop, and that's where like my inbox and everything sits, and it's on like a big drawing board table. So it was like one of the only redeeming things that I got from that fucking cunt of a lady. I told you guys this story about Aaron, right? So how I ended up like finding this place was because I was looking for a place to rent because I was living up north, like the north part of Kansas City, more like the suburbs area. And I'm like, well, I'm like, couldn't find any place over there because I was paying like, I think $350 a month. So it was like nothing. I was paying nothing for rent. And I was like, well, like I need to find another place. I'm like, oh, fuck it. I'll move like to like Midtown or like downtown Kansas City or something like that, like something different. And so I found this townhouse, or like it was not a townhouse. It was like there's a certain word for it. It's like a mother suite or something, where it's like a full house. It's basically like an apartment, but it sits like behind. It usually sits behind a mansion, and so I was like, okay, well, fuck, let's try that. And I mean, let's go and look at this place. So the whole thing was this lady. It was a 2-bedroom, and I would just have my own room. And I would share just the kitchen and like the laundry area. I'm like, oh, that's cool. I don't give a fuck. It's like basically what I was coming from anyway. Well, what happened was I think this lady she got hurt at work and she got workers' comp, and they gave her opiates. And I don't know if you ever seen Dope Sick. So it's pretty addictive. And she had Oxycontin. I think she was addicted to Oxycontin. I know it was pills, but I think that specifically was what was the pill that she was always high on. And I could always tell when she was always high on it. It's like, I'm pretty knowledgeable and I can tell when people are high on shit. It's not hard, really, if you just pay attention to something. It's like, what, you're kind of acting weird. And they're like, like, what is this? And then, I don't know. I'm so weird that I Google like what are like the side effect, or like not side, like these things of like what does this do to you and all that stuff. And I just like, I don't know. I think it's important to know, especially I lived in big cities, and I think it's better to be a lot. I don't know. I just think it's important to know this shit. I don't know. You're gonna have kids one day, and then again, I just think it's important to know this stuff. But I'm pretty sure she was addicted to Oxycontin or opiates or all that stuff. Well, anyway, so the rent, I think it was like $700 a month, and so I paid first and last month's rent, so it was like $1,400, and then I had to pay like an additional, like every month was I think $55. No, it had to be like maybe $60 for trash and all that stuff. Well, come to find out, she wasn't paying any of the rent because how it worked was like the landlord lived in the mansion, and so like she was paying him. That's what she was telling me. So I gave her first and last month's. I gave her a deposit, or like first and last month's rent, and then I gave her, so $1,400, which is oh man, it's still to this day completely angers me. And then like I gave her 1 month of to pay for, I think, pay for trash, or I think it's trash and something else, I want to say. But anyway I look at it, I think even her just adding that on was just like an additional like little kickback to her, so she knew she had if she spent all the money. The idea I think was going to be is like if she spent all the money for the month too early, she was at least going to have like an additional like $65 or $70 or something like that. So like it's going to come back like in the middle of the month. So like at the beginning of the month, she's going to get the $700, and then if she blows through that in the 14 days, and 14 days later, she's going to at least have $70 to survive. I'm assuming the last part of the month. This is just how I was thinking after everything occurred. This is how I started breaking shit down. Well, anyway, I'll tell you what happened. So what happened was that it was around tax season when I moved, and so I had to go do my taxes. And so when I went and I checked out the place, so when I called her, because like I found this on a rental place. It was like rent.com. It was just one of those rental things, you find, and like, there's a whole contract. She literally printed out a contract. I signed it, all that stuff. It was all legit. And what ended up, so when I went and I checked this place out, so I'm going to I'll give you an example for a number. So the house, the mansion, because it was the mansion, and then behind it, because it was part of this mansion property. So it was the mansion, and then behind it was the house, or the mother suite or something like that. Mother cottage is something weird like that. That's how they describe these houses. It's a house. It had a garage, and had a living room, had like a dining room, go up a flight of stairs, and there's 2 bedrooms. And so like in one bathroom, and then in the back part of the house was the laundry place where you do laundry. So it was legit. It was basically just it was like a small apartment. It was just an itty bitty like small random apartment. And so what happened was that when I called her and she texted me the address, she gave me the address to the house. So like for example, that number was 1234. Well, in the state of Missouri, and especially I believe in the state of Missouri, or it might be just in Kansas City, when you add on to a house, it has to have its own address. And so when they built it, so like I said, the mansion was 1234. The mansion was 123 6. And so I didn't know this. And so when I did my taxes, I gave the address to the mansion. And it was so weird because one night I was talking to Erin, that's the lady who I was renting the house from, and I don't give a flying fuck. I can't remember her last name. I'd say the last name, and I'd be like, whatever. But when one night we were talking, and she was telling me how like the landlord, him, and then like his husband, they just got married and stuff like that, and like and in passing, I told her like, yeah, my name is John David Klauser, like John David, like David was my middle name, and she's like, oh yeah, that's the same name as her or his husband, and I'm like, oh, that's really cool. So anyway, back to when I was doing my taxes, I told her, I came home after doing my taxes. I'm like, hey, just let you know, I did my taxes today. If you see a check, just make sure it's super important. Just make sure you just like, if you see it, like don't put it underneath stuff. Just put it underneath slide underneath my door. Worst case scenario. Just please do something like that, And she's like, okay. I'm like, yeah. And I gave the address. She's like, did you give the address that I gave you? I'm like, yeah. She's like, oh, well, that's the address to the house, to the apartment, or to the mansion. I'm like, oh, well, crap. And then I knew, I was like, well, I got worried because in passing, I heard that like John D. Klauser, we both have John David, and I didn't want them to think that when like this check comes and it says John David Klauser, they think it's like a mistake. Like, well, I'm John David, another last name. And so they would be like, oh, well, we need to return this, or we need to send this, we need to mail this back to the government so the government can give this to the right address, because they clearly gave them the wrong address for their tax return. And when I said that, she's like, oh, well, I'll tell them. I'm like, oh, no, well, I understand. Like, but like, because I was getting back a couple $1,000s. So I'm like, no. I want to make sure that like I am taking care of this, and everyone knows that I need this check to come to me, not to, because I'm going to, I was going to use like, a little bit of it to pay, half, like 1/4 of it to pay rent for my job. I was going to use some of that money and then lose a little bit of that, and the rest of it was going to go into like, some of it was going to go to savings, and some of it was going to go to do something else, to my fuck around money. And I'm like, no, I want to make sure that all this money goes to the right place. And so she was like, no, I'll tell him. I'm like, no, it's fine. She's like, do you not trust me? I'm like, well, now I don't. And I'm like, that's like weird to say, because why would you say that to somebody who is just trying to get the phone number to the landlord? So one, I wanted to introduce myself, and then two, I wanted to be like, hey, like I'm also a John David. So when you see this check, don't think that like it's it was supposed to be mailed to some other address, but they messed up or something like that. Because I was assuming that they were like, why would, like, who's John David Klauser? Like, I'm John David such and such. Well, it took me like 30 minutes for me to get this lady to eventually give me the phone number to the landlord. So fast forward to the next day. I'm at work. I'm on my break. I'm like, I call the number. I called the landlord number. I'm like, hey, the number, of course they didn't answer it because they don't know who this number is. It's a random number. And so I was like, hey, my name is John Klauser. I just wanted to call you, let you know, like, hey, also am renting the town cottage house, cottage house. Maybe it's a cottage house. I don't know what the hell it's called. Anyway, so I'm renting the like one of the rooms in the house behind the mansion. I just want to introduce myself, one, and then two, let you know that like there's a check going to be coming. I'm also John David. So I didn't want you guys to get the check and then like think that it was a mistake and it's not supposed to be here. But that's the thing. Whenever you get this, please call me back. Love to hear from you. So a little time goes past. He calls me back. He's like, so your name's John? I'm like, yeah, my name's John. He's like, so you're living in the back of, you're also living in the townhouse, the guest house or the house behind the mansion. I'm like, yeah. He's like, how long you been living there? I'm like, a month. It was like, it's going to be 2 months at the end of this month. Like, or it was getting close. It was like maybe like the 12th or the 13th. Like I moved in like halfway through the month. Something like that. And he's like, okay. And how much are you paying a month? I'm like, I told him, like, I said the number, 700. Does it really matter? 700 a month. Yeah, I could have been paying a mortgage with that. Anyway, it doesn't matter. When you live in nice places, you pay money for it. This is how it works. And so when I was doing that, when I was so he's like, okay, this is okay. And he's like, well, let me call you right back. So I guess he called Aaron and it was like, so I just talked to John. I just found out that you have been having someone live there. You're also there and all that stuff. Well, they had their conversation or whatnot. So anyway, then a little time goes by. He calls me back and he's like, so John, I just want to let you know. So Aaron is like 5 months behind on rent. And I'm like, okay. And what she was doing, she was taking your money and just pocketing it all. And she wasn't telling anybody. And I didn't know that you were living back there. I'm like, okay. And I'm like, well, how's this going? He's like, well, don't worry. What's going to happen is like, I'm in the process. Go in Missouri. You have to give them like a 30-day notice. And then it's like a 60-day notice. Like you have to 30 days before, and then like let them know that 30 days after that, then you have to be completely out of the location. So he's like, anyway, so what we're going to do is like, luckily there is a room on the third floor of the mansion. It's going to be vacant here in a couple weeks. So what's going to happen is like after Aaron's going to be moving out, you'll just stay in that room. And then when everything happens, like when everything is done, you will just then move over to the other place. And then like he gave me like he cut some money off and he's like, you know what, don't worry about a first and last month. We won't deal with any of that. We'll just, you'll just move in. We'll be chill. It'll be cool. And then that's pretty much it. It was so weird how I got this place. And then in 2 weeks, I'll be kind of gone. I will be gone. I'll be moved out. And so I have to start breaking down all this shit in the next 2 weeks, which honestly, in retrospect, it won't be that hard. It's just a lot of knick-knack shit. So it's all about putting that stuff into things. And so it won't be terrible. It won't be terrible. It's just going to sink because it was cool. It was such a weird story of how I even found this place. And, yeah. And then now I'm moving on to a new place, which is going to be awesome because I'm going to be able to put a lot of money into it and it's going to really be vamped up. It's going to still have I'm going to have to build a new background thing like this for it, but it won't be that hard because I have these other shelvings there and I have like this vintage look I'm going to go for. And yeah, I think it's going to look cool. It's just the walls and stuff. I'm kind of worried about, but I'm just going to put black over I have these like black carpet tape things and I'm going to just use that to cover over it. It's like a blanket that goes over the wall. It's like a blanket wall thing, something like that. What's funny is I basically blew through most of the time telling that story because there's always a good story to tell because it's always like, it's one of those things where it's like, no matter even how hard you try to cover yourself and make sure that, you make sure that, every rock has been turned. You're making sure you're not going to fuck yourself. There's people out there that's going to fuck you. They're going to try to bend you over and fuck you hard in the butthole. And it sucks. It sucks that we have to deal with this, that there's like these fucking people. And this is before fucking COVID. And then like after COVID, like fuck, like COVID and shit. Like I've gotten my Calic Versatile twice. It's like, dear fucking Jesus, guys, like good fucking God. And like the second time, it wasn't really that. It's like they fucked up, they just fucked it up enough where like I had to get a whole new, I don't know, the tube thing. I don't know what the fuck it is. But yeah, what else do I have? People who eat eggs. I told that story. What else did I have? I wanted to talk about. Oh, do you ever deal with people who are like, like they're I don't know. I feel like I get a lot of it from like Latino people who were born in America. And I feel like this is going to be a fucking shot. And I'm not trying to mean it to be a shot, but it's like, I talk to them like, so do you speak, like, hablo español? Like, do you speak Spanish? And, they're like, yeah, sometimes I speak Spanish, like mostly like when I drink. It's like, no, you don't. Like, don't say that. That's fucking stupid. Like, why do you say that? Like, I like speak Spanish like more like when I drink, and like, that's what I like to do. It's like, why are you doing that? That's weird to talk. Like, that's weird to say that. And it's weird to say that to another to another Hispanic person. And I don't know that. And then like the Latinx thing, I do not understand. I try to understand all of it, but it's like, guys, like our culture can we allow that? Because like we are things all based on masculine and feminine. Like makes no sense. And this is going to be like, you're basically making a brand new fucking language by fucking with Spanish like this. And like, why would you want to fuck? Like our language is like, Spanish is so cool. Why not? Why are you doing this? It's dumb. It's silly. Like don't make Spanish more like English. Like with English, light and light, Light and LITE. Like, why are you doing this? Like, you're just making it hard. You're just making it hard for no reason. And then just the weirdest things there, and there. These are the normal ones, like 2, 2, and 2, which is silly as well. God, there's just some ones you're like, you look at it and you're just like, good God. I'm like, how did that stick with me, and I'm able to remember that? And some people who are like, it doesn't connect at all. It is at all. But the thing is, like, all you gotta do is just fucking read. I'm like, oh, is the sombrero gonna fall? No, it's not gonna fall. But yeah, like, it's just the Latinx thing is just so weird, odd to me. Just such a weird thing. I think it's just because like I'm going through my phone, I'm deleting a bunch of things. So I had like 8,000 pictures on my phone, and I'm down to almost 900. 900, no videos, nothing. I'm like cleaning the shit out of it, and all that's happening is like the more I delete my pictures, the more my iTunes the podcast thing just grows. And I'm like, I'm deleting podcasts too. So why is all this still here? Why is this still here? And I'm thinking about, maybe I have to like delete my podcast thing and then reload and then resubscribe to the podcasts that I listen to. I'm thinking maybe that might work, and I might get rid of it because it only had like 18, and now it's up to 25 gigs worth of the 64 gigs on my phone. And the thing is, like, what sucks is because I used to have a 160 odd gig thing on my phone. I think it was 164 gig phone, and now I went down to 64. It sucks. Anyway, I got about like 35 seconds left on this podcast. Yeah. So if you gotten this far, thank you so much. Like, comment, and subscribe. Please, just give it a thumbs up. Thanks for watching this. I'll eventually be on iTunes. I promise you guys. I'll be on Spotify as well. All right. I will talk to you guys on the next episode. Be safe. Wash your hands. Same things I tell you every time. All right. Bye.